Protest Thursday, October 12th, Day of Resistance, protest for Palestine. Students for Justice in Palestine plans Day of Resistance, says Israel civilians legitimate targets. So let me just say this straight. If you can justify shooting babies and children or raping children, then you are a monster. Okay? I don't care if you're a student. Some students are being pulled in by this, okay? You know right from wrong. There's no justifying this, no matter what these terrorist animal monsters say. There's this toolkit that comes with this student Justice for Palestine, and it calls for the destruction of Israel, regardless of age or gender. Anybody that goes to that is either very misguided, doesn't know right from wrong, which very few people don't know right from wrong, or is a monster. This organization is not a grassroots movement, started in the colleges purposely, was funded heavily. Many of your professors, the higher educated, as I keep saying. It is a terror-affiliated anti-Semitic network that currently operates with autonomy and impunity at colleges and universities across the United States. I have been ringing the alarm bell for years now about the damn universities. Principal backers of Student for Justice of Palestine include founders, financial patrons, and ideological supporters who have been connected to Islamist terror organizations such as Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestine's Islamic Jihad, and the Marxist Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Monsters. I'm not afraid to say it. BLM. Evil. This is evil. And if you can't say that, if you think I'm going to just stay neutral, then you've taken a side with evil. Because the fact, everybody wants to talk about sides. I don't want to be on a side. I'm not, all the sides. Yeah, well, unfortunately, the way this jungle works is you do pick a side. And by staying neutral, it doesn't gain you any points. It doesn't. I'm not advocating violence. I never would. There is clearly a division between who is violent here. Very. And yet the people that carry on about violence to certain sects and different groups, okay, they're the most violent and animals and monsters in the world. And if college students on campus get behind this, then how is it that they don't know right from wrong? This is how terrorist organizations do it. It is. Because they promote, it's for humanity. Yeah. Shooting babies in cribs is for humanity. Raping little kids because they're Jewish. That's for humanity. Have you heard what the Iran leader is calling for? He's calling for the destruction of the Jews. That's what they're supporting. If you're a high school kid, you know right from wrong. And if you don't, then you're at this group. Because there is never any reason. I don't care if your whole family was killed. I just don't care. I could never, and Glenn mentioned this, and this is why I'm bringing Glenn back. I'm bringing this up because it's so true. There is never, no matter what somebody's done to my family, I would be heartbroken. It would be devastating. All of it. It would never make me so upset or angry that I would go into a house and shoot a baby in a crib or rape a child. Never. But these people will justify those actions. That's what being a monster looks like. Maybe the psychological profession could maybe realize this, huh? Instead of all being on board with BLM. Because this is what BLM's role was the whole time. This is how the Marxists do it. They come on the heels of this. That's why I've said for years now, too. I said they use these people. They use the black community. They use LGBTQ. All of these groups that people want to get into, they use you. They use you, and they are monsters that are leading the charge, like that are leading these agendas. So when I get so irate with the American Nurses Association, it's because I've known that they have been on board with a terrorist organization. So what does that say about how our profession is being governed in the shared governance of nursing? You think that's somehow separate? Any nurse in this country, if you think that's somehow separate, think again. And by ignoring it is not the answer. What throughout my life, I've thought about the Holocaust, because I thought there were so many levels where it could have been stopped. It could have been stopped if people stood up, if people spoke up, if people didn't just go along with what the experts say, if people didn't just go along with what their employers said. But really, the way it ended up being that 6 million Jews were gassed is because people went about their life and thought, no, I don't have a position. I'm sure it'll get worked out. And then by the time people started seeing smoke coming out of the showers where they were gassing the Jews, then Hitler tried to cover it up. But he never didn't say that he wasn't calling for the destruction of the Jews. He said the same thing Iran's leader is calling for, which is wants to annihilate the Jews, destroy the Jews. This is recent. Leave no one alive, destroy Americans, and destroy the Jews' supporters. We disagree with you and let's have a conversation. We want you destroyed. So when AOC, when Rashida Tlaib, and all of them put their Palestinian flag outside their Congress door, they should be arrested because they support terrorist organizations. Ilhan Omar too, but I think she's just part of one. They all are. That's what their goal is. So while they promoted BLM has always been, because it was George Soros funded. I mean, George Soros is a psychopath, okay? He is. Just listen to any of his interviews about how he escaped the Holocaust because he is a Jew. Talk about a man with no conscience. So he knows how to create these groups. I think he's the inventor. Well, no, not him. Marx was. But it creates these color revolutions, okay? And then the young kids are the easiest to get to manipulate. And at this Michigan rally, because it says here, other pro-Palestinian protests nationwide have featured explicit support for Hamas and destroying Israel, as in a large rally in Dearborn, Michigan. They were actually chanting, "Gas the Jews." They were chanting that, and they justify it. If you want to go to one of these rallies and you're going to justify this, then you are a monster. You are evil. I'm sorry if you've been manipulated, but most people, unless you're a child that hasn't reached the age of knowing right from wrong, should clearly see the difference here between right and wrong. That protest for humanity, that's here in Illinois. The Students for Justice of Palestine is primarily an organization found on college campuses. Similar protests are being organized in high schools. So if you think they're not carrying out a revolution, think again. And the revolution will not end with negotiations with these people. They are monsters. I don't care who wants to say, oh, I'm sure there's some middle ground. No, there isn't. Babies have been shot. Children have been raped. Mass amounts of killing. And then what these people always do, it always happens in the UN, the biggest terrorist organization on the planet, always says, well, Israel's being too hostile. No, they have a right to exist. How dare anybody? How dare any of these students, these professors, these hospitals that got on board with BLM, American Nurses Association, how dare any of you align? And that's what you've done when you got on board with BLM. It was so coordinated. You've aligned with terrorist organizations who want to annihilate people. And now you want to bring it to high schools. You're a monster if you support this.